And we're singing. We're singing. Dun, 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 dun. Time to talk. Beauty and the Bitch.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go, like Psycho. You know what I mean? Like, like you're like, oh, I'm in a shower.
I do know what you're saying, but isn't it like when I think of that, it's more like
Oh, okay. So it's like beep, beep, beep. That's it. Girl, that sounds like my UPS delivery backing up to my front door.
Maybe he's delivering
beep, beep,
bad news and also the end of your life. Murder.
Well, I ordered that package like 3 years ago. It's taken a long time to arrive.
Everything comes late in America.
Maybe he will be delivering my I'll Be Gone in the Dark book. Maybe that's why he's delivering.
If he does, you're so lucky because it's so good.
Beep, 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 beep. That's what we're talking about today, friends. I'm Beauty and the Bitch. I'm Mick.
I'm Morgan. And we're super stoked to kind of have a generalized conversation about true crime and the way that that's pressing in our society, especially right now. We've talked a little bit about true crime before, but we are diving into I'll Be Gone in the Dark, one woman's obsessive quest for the Golden State Killer, or whatever the subtitle is, by Michelle McNamara, R.I.P., published posthumously.
I believe in you. Posthumously.
That's a word, though, right?
Yeah, that's the word. But
she's dead, y'all, but this book still made it to the shelves with the help of her husband, Patton Oswalt, and a lot of other editors and a whole team of people that made it happen, with a foreword by Gillian Flynn, everybody's favorite murder sweetheart.
Posthumously. I can't remember how to say that. I'm so sorry. I thought I had it, but then I started to talk.
Y'all know what we mean, though.
She did.
We are just above average.
R.I.P. though. Barely. B+ or
A-.
Hey-oh, same thing.
We're an A- team. Yeah, we're like good, but we're not that good.
No, it's like we're good, but there are two people in class who are definitely better than us.
And they try harder, so we're fine with that.
Yeah, but also we talk about them behind their backs, because did you see what he was wearing?
I mean, like, nobody can pay attention to your grades when your hair looks like that.
That's my problem. It's like, yeah, he's smart, but he has a horrible personality.
And did you see him get accepted to Harvard? We should have tried harder.
I could have gone to Harvard, but I'm much too cool.
Fair enough. I could have gone to Harvard, but I didn't want to, didn't try, and also did not do well enough.
So you couldn't have gone to Harvard.
But I could have changed my trajectory.
Can I just tell you, I didn't even apply to Harvard because, as if.
Whatever.
Yeah, right? What is this? What's that movie? You know the one. Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
She goes to Harvard, doesn't she?
She sure does.
See, no, I'm not interested.
If it's in cinematic things, fuck it.
Yeah, I want to go to small schools no one's heard of. Because I was the original hipster in Arkansas.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's not a big deal, and I'm not claiming to be a hipster. Because if you claim to be a hipster, you're not a hipster. Kind of like if you claim that you're not the Golden State Killer. I don't know. Because I don't know the story. I have to be honest with you, I didn't do a lot of research.
Oh, I'm so excited to tell you
I know you're an expert.
All about it. Yeah. So actually the weird thing about serial killers is they have a tendency to claim their work, actually. Like the Zodiac Killer and some other famous people. Like a lot of people like that get famous because the quest is built around, number one, their lack of anonymity, right? Like they call in, they send these letters, they say, I am the Zodiac Killer and you'll never catch me. So it gets like all this media hype. Golden State Killer's not about that. Golden State Killer was all about never owning his work, changing up his tactics, moving from neighborhood to neighborhood. Like he was kind of masterful in the way that he accomplished his crimes across the greater Northern California area, because he was very smart about covering his tracks. And that's why he didn't get caught since his crimes began in like 1976. He just got busted in 2018 thanks to the evolution of DNA technology and also the advent of DNA mainstreaming through systems like 23andMe, except that they don't participate with police services. But other...
Like Ancestry.com, maybe?
Yep, they don't participate either.
Oh, they don't.
But there's other companies that voluntarily aggregate information from those systems. And so, like, what had happened... We'll just jump into how he got picked out, and then we'll talk to some more true crimes.
Okay,
so... There's this place, what's it called? GED Match is a free family tree sort of service, but they collect all of their information from their database by people who, they solicit customers who have used 23andMe or Ancestry and said, hey, would you like to compile this database? And we will notify you if somebody matching your genetic profile should pop up. Because, if you go to 23andMe, you don't get the information from all the other. There's a myriad of different services. So places like this aggregate that. But they get around this loophole because, like, 23andMe, like, they're very big on, like, we are very private. Your information is not shared with law enforcement or other people, blah, 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 which is great for people who want to feel safe, but horrible for people trying to solve crimes that need DNA evidence match. Sure. And so companies like this GED Match or whatever, they don't promise those things to their customers, They give you this giant legal form. You click agree, you move forward. And when the California police come to them and say, hey, we were wondering, could we run this DNA sample against everyone in your database? They say, okay. And they do it.
And that's how they found the Golden State Killer.
So, so they ran, because they have tons of semen samples. Unfortunately...
Wait, pause. They have tons of semen samples. And who doesn't, America? I would say take a black light into your bedroom. You're going to be in for an awful surprise.
Oh, Lord.
Semen on the walls, semen on the ceiling, semen on the lamp, semen in the carpet, semen in the sheets, semen on the book, semen on the nightstand.
Not shocking.
Well, anyway, that's my fantasy.
Completely honest.
Yeah.
But because he committed a gross and vast amount of rapes throughout his career, I'll hit you with the facts and figs, but I'll just... tell you that it was over 50 rapes.
Oh, Jesus.
So, and that's like a low number from some of the statistics I've heard. Like, he raped many women.
Oh, my goodness.
And there was a lot of evidence from these rapes because, as you know, back then, DNA evidence didn't exist as far as, like, cultivating that. So thankfully some of that stuff stuck around. A lot of it didn't. A lot of the evidence has been thrown away because the statute of limitations, a lot of departments, when that runs out, they just throw the rape tests in the trash. It just becomes null and void. But thankfully there was some evidence saved. And they compared that to the database, found a match for a relative, narrowed it down to people related to that person who lived in the area they had narrowed down in California, picked a man, he fit the profile, he fit the background, he fit so much of stuff. They stalked him in that, like, legal police sort of way and gathered some of his DNA secretively from his door handle, I believe, off of his car. And they ran that against and got a 100% match against the rape kits.
And that man was O.J. Simpson.
That man's name is Joseph James D'Angelo.
Oh, he sounds like a serial killer. I'm afraid of him. Joseph James? That's two equally good first names.
He's a 72-year-old Navy veteran, ex-police officer. Formerly married to an attorney. A man who committed crimes in the regions of California and the northern area, Costa Contra County, and a couple other places from 1974 to 1986, where he committed over 13 murders, over 50 rapes, over 100 burglaries, and went by a number of different names. And now they've all come together to call him the Golden State Killer.
So California's little moniker is the Golden State? Oh, I thought it was, we're about to drop off into the ocean.
Girl, bye.
Girl, bye. My mom always said that when I was growing up. I was like, I want to move to California. And she was like, it's going to break off and float away or drown. And I was like, oh, so mom says California's Atlantis. And that's why I'm fucked up today. I don't know what's real and what's not.
Life is hard.
Can I tell you one quick tangent before we continue talking about the Golden State Killer?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So I did 23andMe.
Oh, you did? Okay, yes, you did. We've talked about this. Go on, tell us more.
Let me tell you something.
Tell me.
So now, when I got my 23andMe results back, it said to me, girl, you ain't nothing but white trash. Essentially.
I hate that.
Yeah. Which,
also,
fair enough.
Kind of expensive?
It was like $68 or something.
I'm intrigued by. I kind of want to do it.
Well, it only tells you where you're from, and like there's some amount of Neanderthal DNA in your DNA and whatever. It tells you some little things, but like it doesn't give you a full family tree unless you pay more.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Okay. So
That's
that
why
was a
you can
problem.
go to GED Match and submit your samples to them, and they'll aggregate it for you.
They'll hook you up.
They will.
Well, and here's the thing: 23andMe, Ancestry.com, any of those things, Heritage, they're only going to be as powerful as the bank of DNA they have, right? You were talking about
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. That's been the problem over the years because we've had this DNA aggregation system, but and we have it public, but there's just not enough information.
Yeah. Okay, so I got my results back, and in my family, it's long been part of the family heritage that we have a lot of Native American blood in our family. And, you know, a lot of people say that. I know that's like a white people thing. They're all like, I'm Cherokee, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I know that's a stereotype. But that was something I always grew up hearing. And to make it even more real, my grandparents' generation, they had a lot of racist ideas, but they always said, no, never be racist Native Americans. We are Native American. That's who you are. So now you know how racism works. Selective racism. But that's what I'm saying, though, is why was it selective if not because it was based on some truth, right? And then I got this 23andMe thing back, and I was like, what? All English and Scottish? And there was an FAQ question that was like, literally, it was like, my family, like, heritage is that we have Native American blood, but there were no results. And the 23andMe answer was like, well, it is what it is. That's essentially like what it said. And I was like, no, fuck y'all. It's because Native American people haven't paid for 23andMe. I'm not a fucking idiot. And here's the thing. My older sister did 23andMe, and her best friend, who is from the same town, but we're not related at all, did the same thing, and they got the exact same results. Literally, percentage by percentage, the exact same results. Now, bitch, look. Now, I know that's possible, but between the Native American, absolute lack of Native American blood, and the fact that these two people who bought it at the same time, like, I think my sister's friend bought it for her, actually.
We're talking about Star or Miranda?
Miranda, my older sister. They got the exact same results when we're not related.
Interesting.
Yes. And so then I talked to my mom about when I was home last, and I was like, Mom, look, blah, 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 this all happened. And she was like, Michael, because they call me Michael. She's like, Michael, your great-grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee. On the Trail of Tears, which went right through Arkansas, she fell behind, she fell off, and she married your great-grandfather. She's met these people. She knew them. They were alive when she was little. And she was like, no, she was a full-blooded Cherokee woman. You have Cherokee in you. Not a lot. It's like 1/16 at this point. But she knows. She literally met my she knew my great-grandmother, you know? And she told me all these stories and stuff. So I was like, well, fuck 23andMe. Because that shit's trying to steal my little bit of heritage away.
I wonder what
like
other bad reviews are out there for that. Because that is really upsetting to spend that much money and, like, maybe if it's not that accurate, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just know, y'all, it could very well be a scam. It sure didn't work out for my family at all. All the ones we've gotten have seemed very wrong. Anyway, back to the Golden State Killer.
Okay. Actually, why don't we take it back a little bit and talk about true crime as this kind of like overarching thing? Because it is really exciting that the Golden State Killer has been arrested right now because it's a crime that we can follow it. It's solved. We're going to see the resolution of it. There's going to be justice for the victims. But true crime in this atmosphere right now is really hot on like unsolved crimes, right? Like when you think of like people loving true crime, like it's everywhere. Like you probably know so many people that are weirdly obsessed with like murder in a way that's like almost comical to be like, I love murder. Like that's a sentence I say to people like, oh, do you love murder too? I do. Obviously I don't love murder, but like I am like a little bit obsessed with like true crime.
I don't judge you for that. Lots of people are.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of seductive.
Yeah, and with like the advent of like podcasts and really great like Netflix documentaries and stuff, there's so much great content to consume.
Ooh, let me ask you this. I just came up with a great idea that I didn't think of beforehand, I promise. Marry, fuck, kill. This is for you specifically.
Okay.
Marry, fuck, kill. True crime stories, that whole genre. The fantasy genre. and period romance as a genre.
Oh my god.
I know. I'm fucking you up right now. Marry, fuck, kill that shit.
Why would you even do that?
Because I like to see you suffer.
Okay. Well, I think of all those things, the most negative thing is true crime. And while it brings me joy, it also brings me, like, fear and terror. And I think that people are always trying to rape or murder me. Like, literally. Like, when I was reading I'll Be Gone in the Dark, I was like, that man's gonna come and bludgeon my head, and then he's gonna rape me, and then he's gonna throw me off a bridge. And he was just a nice old man who was crossing the street.
Yeah.
But he could have.
Oh, he wasn't the Golden State Killer. I see. I understand.
So, I'm gonna kill true crime.
It seems appropriate.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill killers.
Okay.
And
You're
murder.
gonna kill killers. Okay,
They're
I
dead.
love it.
Okay, and now I gotta marry something and I gotta fuck something.
Fantasy versus period romance.
So I think I'm gonna fuck period romance.
Good choice.
Because it's kind of like a fleeting, whimsical, like, experience. But it's not like the stability of, like, intense magic and adventure that I want in my everyday life. So I'm gonna marry fantasy.
Now that you've said it, it seems so obvious.
Yeah.
It seems so obvious. Yeah. Good answers.
Thank
Good answers.
you.
I mean, for me, I'd kill 2 and just marry 1. I guess I'd fuck period romance, but at what period was it cool to be gay? Maybe we go back to Greeks, but even then it wasn't even gayness, it was a whole different thing. So I'm not into either of those. I'll kill them both. I don't like serial killers, I don't like period romances, and I'll just fuck and marry fantasy. Why not?
Which you should.
That's not really fair.
You should,
I'm cheating,
though.
but I'm gonna do it.
Okay, I like it.
Thank you so much.
So, wow, that was really tough. So do you ever watch, like, those Netflixy true crime things, or have you ever gotten into any, like, podcasty things?
To be honest, Morgie, I mean, I'm sorry to be so useless in this context.
No, that's fine, because I've got lots of suggestions.
Haven't. Oh, good. Yes, please suggest some things, because I don't do a cop drama. I don't do any kind of mystery novels or shows.
I like mystery, but I definitely don't like cop dramas.
No, I hate a cop drama. And there's so fucking many of them. It makes me so damn mad.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Ugh.
Well, if you get a hankering to just test out a couple of things, 2 interesting ones that are kind of hot on Netflix is Making a Murderer.
I've heard of that.
Which you might appreciate for a variety of reasons, because it's kind of about these hillbilly-ass fucking people.
Isn't one of the main guys, like, kind of queerish? Making a Murderer?
I don't know.
Okay. I thought I remember someone telling me, it may be the second season, I don't know. I'm very confused. Never mind. I'm probably just barking up the wrong thing.
No, I think you're thinking thinking of S-Town.
I am.
The podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Forgive me.
Okay,
I'm
we'll
crossing
get to
my
that.
wires. Okay.
That's happening.
Okay.
Actually, it's not, because there was no murder per se, but a person did die, and it was a mystery. But S-Town is really great. Really great.
They choke on their porridge? Because sometimes you make that shit too thick, girl. I've been there.
Goldilocks has been through that.
Yes, you add in the dried fruit. You're like, this will never not be dried. There's not enough moisture in my oatmeal.
Too much.
Queen.
So Making a Murderer, people are really into The Staircase, but I have to tell you, while I find that story of the murder and the fallout of the murder very intriguing, I found the series immensely boring, and every episode could have been like half as long. But the story is fascinating. Okay. And then podcasts are real. There's a lot more other great ones that I don't have time to recommend or / can't remember.
All the fucking, I know I made a joke about him earlier, but what's his name with the gloves? O.J. Simpson. Last year, wasn't it? There were like 3 different shows that remade O.J. Simpson.
Yes. I think at least one of those was a drama, like acted out. But yeah, one of those might have been like a mini-series
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's lots of OJ. You will see when you choose to get into true crime, if that's kind of a thing that you're thinking about, you will see really heavily saturated a lot of the crimes that you're already very familiar with. There is so many things exploring the murder of John Benet Ramsey. There are so many Nicole Simpson retrospectives. There's so much around Casey Anthony and the murder of her little daughter that she definitely fucking murdered.
What about the devil, the Satanic 3, those guys in Arkansas? Remember? And all those little boys died? And they were all molested and killed, satanically?
I don't
know. No, you do know. You do know. Well, let me ask you though, Morgan. I'm going to look this up, and I know you're about to talk about podcasts. I want to get to that. But as someone who doesn't really get into true crime stuff, I know this is hard maybe, but what is the appeal? Like, what do you like about it? Because it just is so meh for me, or like sad at best.
I think that it's just interesting because different things just appeal to different people, right? Like, romance is like not a thing that all people are going to be interested in as like a genre, right? Like, they don't want to read it, they don't love to watch it, they think it's just like, blah, that's so like stupid.
But I can see the appeal of that even though I don't consume it. Like love, obviously. Duh. Love is so appealing.
You can't see the appeal of like mystery and like being a part of like the quest, especially things that are like
part of the quest.
unsolved.
Okay. Now you're speaking my language.
Like when things are like unsolved, like people, I think, are very interested in all the hard work that has gone into trying to solve those things. But then they also are quick to think like, well, anyone could figure this out. And like that's where this movement of this thing called like armchair detectives comes out. So like a lot of people are very interested in true crime and they become armchair detectives, right? People obsess over one crime or one thing and they take it upon themselves to just casually spend their free time like learning all the details and facts and trying to like piece together new information. There's different forums online. You can join like all these boards where people are like talking about stuff. Michelle McNamara, the writer of The Golden State Killer, she had her own true crime blog, and she also was a really big advocate and participant of a lot of like essentially like murder boards where people would just come and share information, or like, hey, I uncovered like this piece of information and I found like there was these cufflinks. They're like, one of the things that the Golden State Killer stole from a victim's house was some family heirloom cufflinks, and they had like a letter on it. Maybe it was like an E. And Michelle spent hours searching like vintage stores and like, because like he was in California, like he was a California native, so like they could have been anywhere. They could have been like on eBay or whatever. So anyways, she found some cufflinks that matched the description, and she bought them and like overnighted them for like $50 and like skipped like a family event the next day to like take these cufflinks to like the detective that she was working with. His name is Paul Holes, and be like,
his last name is Holes?
Yeah, girl.
That's too bad.
But he's a babe.
Oh, is he?
We'll get into Paul Holes.
By the way,
well, he's older now, but he's a babe still.
Well, I'm gonna literally Google Paul Holes attractive. I know we'll have a good West Memphis 3.
Oh,
those are the three boys I was talking about.
I've heard of that, but I actually don't know deeply the details.
Didn't get into that? Oh, maybe we should do a true crime West Memphis 3 episode in the future, because I would be into that.
I'd be into it.
Okay, go ahead though. I'm sorry. Paul Holes.
Paul Holes, he's cute. Anyways, so there's these armchair detectives and they're very obsessed. And then for like me, it just like a genre that like gets me excited, content that like keeps me engaged is like, I don't know, just like true crime is just a very engaging thing for people who like it, right? Because there's so many like nuanced details and there's always like new developments and you have to like remember all these like tedious little things. And also, you know what's great about it for me is like those fucking conspiracy theories, because I love conspiracy theories.
You love a conspiracy theory, yes.
True crime is riddled with conspiracy theory.
You know, first of all, yes, I looked up Paul Holes, very fuckable,
right?
In like a detective kind of way.
But in like that cute, like, you know his wife is satisfied detective kind
well,
of way.
Depends, well, unless he has a really small pee-pee, but, because he looks kind of like he might not have a very big dick, but yeah, I shouldn't judge people, but I do. Yeah. I do judge them, and I judge them on dick size, I do. Anyway, you put it in exactly the right terms for me, though. Like, getting to be involved in the quest. It's almost like make your own adventure, but in real life, right? And do you remember in an earlier episode, I forget what damn episode, but I'm pretty sure it was a podcast episode, we were talking about people who went disappearing out in the desert, and those people who, like, really intensely searched for them. Do you remember us talking about this?
Vaguely.
It was very much like armchair detective type. Is that they go out into this national park wherever this person disappeared, and they would like go out and search all the gullies and the runnels and the tiny canyons and stuff to try to find these missing people. And that seems to me to be a similar kind of fire. right?
I
Like,
think
solve this
so.
mystery.
And you know what else? This other facet of like true crime that I think is very real, but people maybe don't talk about it as much, is that like it opens up the floodgate for like judgment. Like you can sit on your high horse and watch this documentary or this podcast or this story unfold, and you can judge the people involved in the crimes, the family of the victims. You can judge the victim themselves. You can judge the sloppiness of the killer, or you can like emboldened and like be impressed by like there's almost a fine line between like really enjoying true crime and being like enthralled and fascinated by it and like reveling in like murder and like tragedy.
Well, it's also
it's a fine line.
It's a socioeconomic question a lot of the time. For example, like John Benet Ramsey's parents. Everyone's like, oh, the parents did it, right? Isn't that like a foregone conclusion?
No, her brother did it.
Oh, her brother did it.
Her brother fucking killed her.
Oh, okay.
And he was incestuous.
And
he molested her.
Oh, and did the parents know about it? Or no?
And they were cut. That's why it went down. This is non-conclusive, but this is generally agreed upon by true crime people that her brother fucking killed her, and her parents wanted to protect him, so they covered it up, and he was psychologically damaged, and obviously has continued to be psychologically damaged.
And you know what? That even though that is horrible and disgusting, it makes emotional sense. They just lost one child.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose the other one. They're going to do anything they can.
Again, these are not proven facts, but generally agreed upon banter.
Allegedly. But like, okay, so there's a lot there. Okay. We're talking about like white suburban fucking horror stories.
They were rich as fuck, too.
Yeah. In their fucking McMansion or whatever. You have to be rich through those child pageants. That's not the point. The point is, and then you look at something like the O.J. Simpson case, which I've brought up multiple times already. I know it's
where
dated,
he fucking murdered Nicole Simpson.
Exactly. Well, that's what most white people say. But if you talk to black people, you get a very different set of opinions, and that's interesting. Sort of like
that is interesting because he basically was like, I did.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing though is, and I get it. I get it because I felt a similar thing when what's his name? Who I always forget, who will always be forgotten because he's a molester and a rapist and he's gay. And he's an actor. And he got caught out after Harvey Weinstein. Good, we forgot his name. Kevin Spacey. Yeah. Like with Kevin Spacey, when all that shit went down, it was easy to be mad at him because he tried to make his guiltiness also his coming out story. Yeah. It was really easy to hate him for that. But I was also like, but a gay man? Like one of our like most accomplished gay men also. This is hard. And for the black community, I imagine it's quite similar. O.J. Simpson fucking made it. And now he's killed a white woman and her kind of queer looking friend. Oh, interesting. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I get it.
I'm not trying to, they can believe whatever they want because that's what true crime is like, you're just going to believe whatever you think because a lot of stuff can't be proven. But O.J. Simpson
definitely killed his wife.
Fucking killed his wife. And then he had this like redemption period where he could have turned his life around, and instead he literally
became a felon, right?
He literally became like a garbage person. He's been to jail so many times. I'm pretty sure he's in prison right now. He went down this like life of like petty crime.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like petty crime.
It's insane, yeah.
Like why?
He was like a multiple bajillionaire, you know?
Yeah, he really ruined his life.
Well, and it's sad too. That's that downward spiral, you know? Once you start killing people, shit.
He wrote
the guilt alone.
He wrote a book called If I Did It.
Oh, okay.
That's a real book you can buy. That's the thing.
I would just like to say, at any point when a crucial bit of evidence is whether or not the glove will fit on your hand, no, Queen, that doesn't work. And he was like, it doesn't fit. It doesn't. Girl, gloves are always hard to get on.
Hey, that's how that Casey Anthony case, that's how because there was like a semblance of reasonable doubt by accordance with our justice system. If there is any semblance
Legal
of reasonable
system.
doubt,
It's not
then
just.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
then like they can't, they can't charge you with that because like there is a fault to the narrative brought on by the prosecution, and like that's really unfortunate because she also 100% killed her daughter.
Yeah. She
100% had a mental breakdown and killed her daughter.
Yeah.
Also universally agreed upon.
Yeah. But can't be proven.
And now
it's legal, not justice.
And now she's living some kind of life. Like, what kind of life will she ever have? Everybody's like, you're that girl that murdered your daughter.
She has to change her name and change everything and try to be anonymous.
I read for a little that she moved somewhere in Central America for a little while because she got so many like death threats.
Does she... Well, this episode isn't about her, it doesn't matter. But, I always end up feeling bad for the serial killers. Because I'm like, yeah, they did awful things, but then like, oh, what life do you live?
Some of them... The Golden State Killer is one of the people where it's like easy to have absolutely no remorse or regret from, because he got to do all of those horrible things. And
and he's old.
And then he just got to live the rest of his life. He has 4 daughters. He grew up, well, he was fully an adult when he was committing these crimes, but he got to grow up out of that, have a full career of like multiple different things. The house he lives in now where he was arrested at was the same house he was living in when he was raping, murdering, and pillaging homes across California. Crazy. Where he was at home like creating a family where he had 4 daughters. He murdered 13 people and he has 4 daughters and he raped over 50 women.
I think I will tell you, one of the things that really turns me off about true crime is I'm already aware of the truism that like people have 2 sides and like anyone's capable of horrible, abominable actions. But like that is very frightening to me. That's frightening on a visceral, deep, fucked up level. People can live a normal life and have their, Dr. Jekyll life. And then they can turn around and be a Mr. Hyde and fucking rape their way across California?
I feel really bad for his kids. Like,
oh my God.
Can you imagine like how, like, living your life thinking, and like maybe he wasn't a very loving or nurturing person. Probably not. Yeah. But like, it's still your parent. And like, can you imagine just like, oh, hey, we're just casually here to arrest your father, one of the like worst serial killers in the history of California?
Yeah.
Or America?
Who
ever?
Probably you were afraid of as a child, right?
God.
Well, but, and of course, this is an allegation and a hypothesis based on nothing. Maybe the whole family was in on it. Maybe they knew. They really don't know.
I think his kids weren't born till like the end of it, so they were hella babies.
Oh, okay.
But
what about his wife, though?
Well, he had one wife, and she was an attorney, but they divorced. And so I don't know. I'm not sure what his like next wife did, or if they stayed married. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because that's my question. Is like, look, I'm not saying she knew. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no.
But I think this is wisdom. No, I don't think it's wisdom. I'm just kind of pissed off about it. Like, how did she not know something? What, she think he was sleeping with people, like cheating on her? Is that why they divorced? Or like, what was she thinking?
Like, not to generalize, but like people of that generation, relationships are very different than they are today. Like, to me, like the relationships that I have with like my best friends, my partner, like whatever, not my family, like we haven't gotten there, but like my new families and stuff I've created, like everything is very like transparent and very open and like communicative, and like there's just like no barriers. But like older people they're not sharers. They don't share. And like true. Back in the day, like men didn't tell their wives when they would be home for dinner. They didn't text them. Like, they were just gone. And when they weren't gone anymore, they were home, and dinner better be on the fucking table. And you better take the kids to work or school. And you better like do all this stuff and have my breakfast ready and do my laundry. Like, it's just a very different world. So to me, it's not shocking at all if his wife would have no idea what he was doing.
Especially if she was a working woman, too. She's an attorney, you said.
His first wife was. Yeah, he was fully, like, doing all the crimes when he was married to her. Yeah, so she was very busy.
But at that time, he was a cop, too, right?
He was a cop. There is overlap from his cop days to, like, when
Dirty cop.
Was discharged. I think he was dishonorably discharged for shoplifting, of all things.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say, I just want to take, it's definitely not his first wife's fault. I'm not trying to blame her, but
it
I'm
is
just
interesting
saying,
to think, like, how, like, what kind of notions.
Yeah, like, I want to know what she thought about it. Is he going to court? Is there going to be a big court
he had,
case?
like, his first day in court, last week, real time, probably about a month ago when this podcast comes out.
So like mid-August or so.
Yes, around mid-August. And so he's got some dates coming up. I mean, it's going to take years for this to unfold.
He's probably going to be dead before, don't you think? Isn't he like
he's
72
old.
or something?
Yeah, he's 72. So, I mean, it just depends. But the charges they were able to bring against him because of statute of limitations and some other problems, they were able to bring him with 8 counts of murder, out of the 13 plus murders that he definitely was connected with through DNA evidence. So 8 is still plenty to get him like the longest possible sentence. Sure. But then they were also able to pin him with some kidnapping charges because rape is really hard because of the statute, but then also there's just a lot of things around rape that are like circumstantial and like witness based, so like whatever.
Yeah.
So they were able to pin some kidnapping stuff, and I was reading the story and it was like, well, why does it even matter? Eight counts of murder, you're done for, you know? But they were saying it's part of like bringing justice to the victims. Is like, we can't say you raped Jane Doe. Like, we can't name you by name and say we're bringing you into court to like bring you to justice for this very specific crime. So they have to gather as much possible things that they can pass through. Like, as much as they can do, they have to pin it on him because it's the only thing that will bring them peace.
Well, and that is the way the legal system gets a kind of justice. I mean, there's so many examples of this. Think about Al Capone, who got brought in on tax evasion charges back in, what was it, the 40s or 50s or 60s? I don't know, before we were born anyway. Like, and he was the mob boss. But they couldn't catch him on any of those things.
Yeah.
But they got him on tax evasion. Or it's like the Mueller investigation, inching closer and closer to Trump. And people keep being like, but girl, they haven't found anything with Russia. I'm like, first of all, it's not true. Okay.
It's literally not true.
It's literally not true.
It's literally
but they keep
the
saying
opposite
that.
of truth.
I keep saying that online where they're like, well, they haven't proven anything with Russia. I'm like, girl, they are getting person by person closer to Trump.
Also, they have like said so many times, like, and here's the examples of Russia collusion. Like, it exists. Yeah. It's black and white. It's right here.
Yeah, it's very obvious. But the point is, though, what they're, what Manafort and these other people are getting caught on is stuff that's the equivalent of tax evasion. Mm-hmm. It's other shitty shit they did that they can prove via paperwork. So that makes sense to me. Yeah, throw everything at him, girl.
Totally.
Get him on all the stuff.
And so because it's really hot right now, especially because Michelle's book was such a phenomenal hit, it's really too bad that she passed away before she got to see all of her hard work in print, and also her greatest, like, foe, essentially, like the person that, like, haunted her life. She didn't get to see him brought to justice, and that's really unfortunate. But you can catch a lot of really great information on lots of different crime podcasts right now. Not focused specifically. There's probably some focused just on Golden State Killer, but a lot of the crime podcasts that I like and that are really popular are episodic, and so they cover different crimes every episode, or they do like a two-parter. And so I'm going to just tell you guys some that you can check out where they're not all gonna, I'll tell you. Okay. So Missing Maura Murray is a crime podcast that follows just one crime. The disappearance of Maura Murray.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Maybe you told me about it even.
So that's a cool one that I'm very into. Up and Vanished was a breakout podcast by this guy named Payne Lindsay, where he covered the disappearance of Tara Grinstead, who was a teacher somewhere outside of Atlanta, somewhere in Georgia. And actually, while his podcast was in action, because his podcast was happening, all of these new tips and stuff started coming in, and the crime was actually solved, and they found her buried in a peach orchard.
What?
Yeah, she was killed by a former student.
Were they having an affair?
Questionable. But I think he wanted to have an affair, and she did not. Something like that. Yeah, so I listened to that one. So people were really into Up and Vanished, and season 2 actually just dropped. So they're doing a new crime, obviously.
Did you say his name is Payne Lindsay? Mm-hmm. He's got an appropriate name to do a serial killer
Also,
podcast.
He's a babe, if you want to Google him, motherfucker.
I'm doing it.
He's hot. And it was good. I was into Up and Vanished. It was a little windy sometime with, like, the details and stuff. And Peyton Lindsay did another podcast called Atlanta Monster, following a different crime thing, but I didn't listen to that one. But people like that.
Oh, he's young as fuck.
Yeah, he's like our age.
Oh, yeah, I would fuck him.
I know. He's
Payne Lindsay, if you're listening, my number is 512.
Whoa. My favorite murder is a podcast that tends to be at the top of the iTunes chart. It's just two ladies, Georgia and Karen, talking about their favorite murders. And, like, sometimes they'll do crossover guest episodes where, like, people will, choose their own murders to discuss. But it's really fun because they talk about murder in the way that I talk about murder. Where they're like, oh my God, and then she went to the back of the fucking gas station.
Why would she go there?
And guess what happened?
Girl, she got slashed.
Murdered.
I knew she was gonna get slashed. Why get slashed at the back of a gas station? Tires and you. Yeah, exactly.
So essentially that was a clip from My Favorite Murder.
I was going to say we're coming for their gig right now.
No, they're really great though. And they actually are very detail oriented and very informative, but they talk about it in kind of this lackadaisical way that's just the conversational way that, like, people talk about murder. And it's, to me, it's, like, weird because it's, like, kind of this commentary on, like, oh, life's whatever. Let's talk about this lady who killed all her children now. It's just, like, kind of a crazy thing. But, like, that really is kind of where we're at, you know?
That's life.
But I really like it, and they're really funny. And they call their listeners murderinos. And they're always like, so this murderino wrote in. That's cute. My favorite murder, and they did a really great episode talking about Golden State Killer. Actually, I think they covered it on a couple episodes, and they did an exclusive interview with Paul Holes, who Michelle McNamara worked with, who was, Paul Holes was one of the lead investigators on the Golden State Killer case in recent times, so not back in the day, but he had this, like, great story where the Golden State Killer was kind of like the last case file that was still open on his docket, you know? And he was, like, looking at homes in another state outside of California to retire with his wife. And, like, he was going to live the peaceful life and leave the drama behind. And then he got a call about the DNA match while he was out of state looking at houses with his wife. And he told the story in My Favorite Murder, and he said, I was at a P.F. Chang's, and they were like, plug alert!
He didn't even go to Benihana's?
No, girl, he was at P.F. Chang's.
Come on, Queen.
And he said he looked down and he saw it was like the DNA people office or whatever, and he knew it was going to be, he just felt that it was going to be big. And they were like, we don't want to get your hopes up. We're still, like, working, but it's a match. It's totally a match. And so, like, he got to be one of the people that, like, was doing drive-bys of the Golden State Killer's house before we knew it was him officially, thinking of ways to collect his DNA. And then, like, it was something like the day he turned his badge in, the Golden State Killer was, like, arrested, like, right after that. And then he got to be at, like, the press conference. And so, like, literally his career wrapped up. His career has been wrapped, and now he's moving on. He's doing, like, this kind of media tour to talk about it. And then he was saying he was interested in exploring, like, being a part of, like a Netflix miniseries on it or something. And, like, you know, giving his perspective of, like, working with Michelle and also just being a part of this, like, massive manhunt for this, like, horrible person. And also it coming to a conclusion.
You know what? I just Googled, because you said something about the Golden State Killer's house. Look how fucking mundane that house is.
Oh, girl.
It's kind of horrifying. I sometimes get frightened of houses because of what they might contain.
Like in Room, where it's just like a nice guy in the suburbs.
Exactly. And then the background, you got, all kinds of pain and terror.
That's so upsetting. And can you imagine... It's hard to imagine anyone in this person's life, but, like, his fucking neighbors, maybe they lived there for the last 40 years.
Oh, my God.
And being like, what the fuck is happening?
But you know what? When he started giving out those skin lamps, I think they should have thought something was up.
What kind of leather is this?
Yeah, he was like, ooh, it's translucent. Look at this tattoo. Queen.
Okay, I have a couple more podcast facts. Generation Y, that's WHY, is a really good one. Different thing every episode. Accused, Dirty John is a really, really good one that I was very into. Podcast done by an investigative journalist who followed the case of this guy known as Dirty John, who is, like, a swindler. And he, like, swindled this woman and her family, and, like, he did that crazy thing where he, like, isolates her from her family and, like, whatever. And she was, like, really rich. And, like, he told her he had a job, but, like, he literally didn't. And, like, whatever. It was, like, insane. I really recommend Dirty John for just being like, I will never trust people ever. People are garbage.
Well, but you know, I did listen to Clean Sam, which is the sequel to Dirty John. Didn't hold up.
Not the same?
No, it was about this guy Sam who was very clean. Nothing there, really.
3 more podcast recs. Last podcast on the left. It's not for everybody, but you guys might like it. Sword and Scale, for me, is a little graphic and, like, it's a little more, like, and here are the police details. Like, something for me, I don't always want to know how many stitches or, like, dents in the skull there were. But if you're into the nitty gritty, the Sword and Scale is for you.
That sounds like a CSI thing. You know what I mean? Like a TV show. Yeah. Sword and Scale.
And my last rec is going to be one of the things you know of that has re-sparked a great love of true crime: Serial.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's
so
about
Serial's
the gay guy,
really
right?
fun.
Or queer person.
That's S-Town. S-Town is made by the same producers of Serial, but it's not about a murder. It's just about a mystery.
Yeah.
It's a mystery, but not a murder.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Serial Season 1 followed the murder of Heyman Lee and Adnan Syed, her boyfriend at the time, is still in prison for that. But he, thanks to, like, the efforts of Serial and, like, also because he just really didn't get a good day in court based on, like, all the circumstances. Like, not saying he didn't kill her, but he really didn't get a good day in court. It's all getting churned over, and he's going to get a new day in court.
It happens all the time, man. One of the great things about media, social media, and the internet right now is when something horrible, like a false guilty verdict goes down, like, other people know about it. It used to be 20 years ago. How would you ever find out about this shit? You'd have to look it up. You'd have to be interested in like justice charities and stuff. You know?
And that's what Making a Murderer is about. This guy went to prison for like 13 years for like a murder he didn't commit, and then like they uncovered evidence, and like the police, like, they, like, planted evidence and, like, did all this working to make it look like it was him because they wanted it to be him.
Sure.
But then it wasn't.
Because that's accolades for them. That's a big problem.
But also he's, like, hillbilly in backwaters. And that Making a Murderer is it will make you question, like, you won't know how to feel at the end of it. Because then he gets out of prison and then another murder occurs.
Girl.
But did he do that one? Did they make him into a murderer?
When we all die and go to heaven, and we look back... heaven, and we look back on like all the evil that's been done in this world, you mark my words, Angelic Mick is going to be like, I told you so, because I bet you there are so many innocent people in prison. I promise. So I'm not talking
and so
like
many
2%.
Guilty people on the streets.
Oh, well, that's a definite guaranteed. But like, I bet you a solid 15% of people who are locked away for life and whose lives are ruined are innocent of the crime they're accused of. Because that's the thing is, like, the problem with the legal system is we give prizes for convictions. Monetary prizes, we give prizes as far as professional careers and like, you know, all, etc. So like, police,
like the county prosecutors, they keep their job by like convicting.
Yeah, social prizes, standings in small towns and mid-sized cities and everything. You know, the more convictions you get, the better a cop, the better a prosecutor you are. Well, that's a big problem because then people start pushing for convictions when in fact the evidence is not there. And girl, the Golden State Killer was a motherfucking dirty cop. We know there are dirty cops everywhere. And anyway.
Yeah, I think it's really upsetting for the detectives that are very involved in like the Golden State Killer case, like to find out who it was and to be like, he was one of us.
That's why he was able to do it so well.
And it was an idea that was thrown around back in the day, like, was he ex-military or ex-cop? And he was both. Yeah. He was both.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked, though. I mean, I'm not saying all those people are, obviously. But, like, look, you want to kill people, those are the two professions you should get into, you know?
It's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, so thank God the Golden State Killer has been brought in, and may he live a long life so he can see the suffering happen before him.
Speaking of suffering, Morgie, I have a little game for you. Do you want to play a little game?
Oh my God, yes.
I want you
I
to
love
suffer.
games.
Well, you won the last one. Last
I was a
episode
winner.
we did.
Oh, it was fucking
you won.
great.
You got every single thing right.
All I do is win.
Well, win. So this game is called Serial or Tricks. Okay. Now here are the rules of this game. I'm going to give you the name of a serial killer, like the given name in newspapers and stuff. If it's a real serial killer, you say serial.
Okay.
And if it's a made-up name or a name that's not of the Golden State Killer, it might be real, but it's not the Golden State Killer, you say Tricks.
Wait, are they only nicknames of the Golden State Killer?
Some of them are.
Okay.
Those are the serials.
Okay.
But some of them are tricks. Either it's made up or it's somebody else. Somebody I pulled up off the internet.
And it's a trick. Like, if you said the Zodiac Killer, I would say that's a trick.
You say Tricks.
Okay, because he is a real person, but he's not.
Yeah. But if you say trick instead of tricks, I'm not going to give you that
Okay,
point.
Great. Tricks.
That's the whole point.
But
Serial
if it is
tricks.
a pseudonym of the Golden State Killer.
You say serial.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready. The East Area Rapist.
That's a serial?
That's true. That's what they, guess when he was raping
and
in the East area.
And they shortened it to the ear. They just called him the ear.
Ooh, I don't like that. That's grosser even somehow. What's grosser than East area rapist? Ear. Ugh, I don't like it. Okay. The West Canyon Torso Slasher.
Tricks.
That is a trick. I just made that one up. But I thought, well, that's scary.
It is scary.
I don't want to be slashed on my torso.
No, girl.
Okay. The Giggler.
Oh. Huh. That one sounds familiar, but I'm going to go with Tricks.
It is a Tricks. It is a real serial killer. He was in Boston. He was caught in 1969 because he laughed. And they found him somehow. I don't know.
He had one of those laughs.
Yeah. I guess they found the corpse of the person he had killed, and then he giggled, and then they took him in and realized he killed like a 6-year-old girl or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The Giggler. Okay. The original Night Stalker.
That is a serial, and they actually, when they finally linked the East Area Rapist to the original Night Stalker, because they thought they were two different people, they started calling him the Earons, just like smashing all the letters together. Original Night Stalker, ONS.
Oh,
he was the Earons from then on.
Oh,
and then he started murdering people. And then they had to really step it up.
So now, was there a secondary Night Stalker, like Night Stalker 2?
Yeah,
okay,
there were some like
copycat
Night Stalkers.
Oh, copycat Night Stalkers.
And then like later people, but he was the original one.
Okay, what about the Happy Face Killer?
Tricks.
Oh, you think Tricks? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Okay. From 1990 to 1995, Keith Hunter Jesperson, a truck driver, murdered at least 8 victims, mostly women, while he traveled across the U.S. He would send anonymous letters to an Oregon newspaper, signing them with smiley faces. And to be honest, god damn it, he's kind of cute. Damn it, you can't trust nobody. Beauty is not an indicator. Okay, this is the last one more, This is the hardest one, I think. Buttermilk Bluebeard.
Tricks.
Okay, is it a complete Tricks or is it a serial killer?
Oh.
This is a next level, but I'm just asking. Do you think I made that up, or do you think
I think
real?
it's real.
Yeah, you can tell because I'm looking at my computer screen. Yeah. Alfred Leonard Klein was dubbed Buttermilk Bluebeard by the press after he was accused of murdering several of his wives, like Bluebeard, the wealthy nobleman, in a classic French folktale, by serving them a glass of buttermilk laced with sedatives. From 1930 to 1945, Klein killed 8 women shortly after marrying them, as well as one man, Reverend Ernest Jones, in order to inherit their estates. Buttermilk Bluebeard.
Weird.
So, girl, if you go home tonight and old Aaron Messick says, "You baby, got you this buttermilk, this big old glass of buttermilk."
That's
girl, you throw that buttermilk on the ground.
I will.
You say, "I ain't never drinking buttermilk."
Do you know about the Jonestown Massacre?
Of course, Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
That's the Kool-Aid, right?
With cyanide.
Yeah.
That's how I like my Kool-Aid.
I love to drink some Kool-Aid. I'm down.
It's so crazy. I love cult stuff too.
Oh my gosh,
Also.
me too. Oh yeah.
What else you got for me?
Well, that's it, Queen. And I have to tell you, this is another 100% for you. And I'm furious.
I just happen to be really good at knowing the Golden State Killer nicknames because I just got done doing kind of a deep dive, right, with the book and stuff.
Fuck yes.
Oh, so I think the last little piece I want to talk about is just Michelle McNamara as a person.
Sure.
So she is this journalistic reporter who focused heavily on true crime and has done a bunch of stuff over the years, but throughout the latter part of her life, the Golden State Killer, not only did she dub that name, she dubbed the killer the Golden State Killer.
Huge. Okay.
It consumed her. It was everything she cared about. And you can really tell that by the book. First of all, the book is written so incredibly beautifully. She has this finesse with discussing the details of a story, the details of gruesome crimes, but weaving it with just these beautiful threads of humanity and narrative flourish that make it paints it in a really good picture, and it's not blunt and it's not crass. It's just it's beautiful.
It's very Truman Capote, sounds like.
Yes, it's
very in cold blood.
Very gorgeous. And you can tell because throughout the book there are sections she did not finish, and there will be an editor's note at the beginning. This chapter of the book was pieced together by things that Michelle had already written and pulled from articles that she had published in newspapers and because she had lots of publications. And so things are pieced together, and you could tell when people were filling in the gaps because it lost, like, her level of writing is so high quality that, like, when somebody else was trying to fill in the blanks, like, they missed the mark a little bit because she's so good at it. So it was really beautiful, and Michelle McNamara was married to Patton Oswalt. She loved him when he was, like, a starving artist, and then, of course, he became, like, a super rich comedian person who was very well connected, and she had all these really great stories peppered throughout the book of having to go to, like, red carpets and being like, okay, when on the red carpet can I step away and call this detective and check in on, like, this lead that I put into him, or, like, follow up with, like, people on her blog. So she's, like, on the red carpet, and, like, Patton's, like, agents are, like, mean mugging her, and she's like, just 1 second, I have to, like, see about this rape or something. Like, it is all she cared about. Like, she was saying, like, she would leave parties early after she had a newborn baby, and people would be like, oh, you have to get home to the baby? And she was like, right. I have to get home to the baby, because, like, all she could think about was, like, her work. Like, she was...
What a full life. My goodness.
Very engrossed in her work. Very sadly died in her bed, in her sleep, after having an overdose of Xanax.
Really? Oh, I thought she died of cancer. Whoa, she was a drug overdose and accidental. Seemingly.
Presumably. Yeah.
How horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
I thought she died of cancer.
It's really upsetting.
Wow. Fuck Xanax, man.
And what's it called? The intro to the book?
The prologue?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it was written by Gillian Flynn, who is a famous, I don't know, mystery crime author, like Gone Girl.
I was going to guess Girl on the Train.
Sure. Oh, that was the other one. That's Paula Hawkins.
Paula Hawkins.
Yeah. So Gillian Flynn did Girl on the Train, Sharp Objects, Dark Places.
You mean Gone Girl?
Yeah, what'd I say?
Okay. You said Girl on the Train. I was like, oh, I just thought I had it.
Too many girls.
Yeah. Sharp Objects. Oh, the new thing. The new Hulu thing.
HBO. It just wrapped up. Yeah. So she wrote that. She wrote a beautiful intro about how Michelle McNamara, like, inspired her as a person to, like, write about this crime genre, and how she was very self-deprecating when she was like, I, write these stories and, like, choose these endings and create these narratives, and Michelle takes, like, something that's real life and, like, transcribes it in a way that is, like, beyond comprehension. Like, nobody else could do what she does. Like, she is very well renowned, very respected. Like, the fact that, like, Paul Holes as a detective worked with her, and he thinks of her as, like, a partner. Like, when he talks about her, he's like, my partner Michelle, like, we worked together on this. Like, investigative reporters don't get that. People don't think of them as, like, partners in the quest for truth. But Michelle McNamara, like, was that person. Like, she was a very special person.
I just looked up pictures of her, and she looks so, like, kind, and also kind of like a private eye. Like, I could see her as being, like,
I think
the
she's
stern
so
but
cute.
cuddly. The minute I saw this picture of her, I was like, oh, she's very lovable to me.
Yeah.
She reminds me of, like, my favorite aunt as a child.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. What a loss for the world.
I know. And Patton wrote the afterword on her book, and he just succinctly wrapped up how Michelle made him feel and how dedicated she was to what she did, and how, like, the world is, like, not better off without her. And also, because this book was released before the killer was caught, I think his, like, last couple sentences were, like, something to the effect of, like, and she's gonna be, like, following you, and the day that you're found, you're gonna know that it's because of, like, the work that she has put in. And, like, literally months later it came out. Also, yeah, it was gorgeous. Everything was gorgeous. Patton's words were gorgeous. Her words were gorgeous. Everything was great. I forgot my favorite part of the book. The title, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, is a quote that she pulled directly from words that the Golden State Killer whispered into the ears of one of his victims.
Oh.
He did something like, he, like, had tied up this woman that he was gonna rape. And he, like, she was, like, screaming, and he was, like, silencing her. And she said he, like, bent down and whispered in her ear something like, if you don't stop screaming, like, I'm going to slit your throat right now, and you're going to die, and I'm going to be gone in the dark.
Oh.
And it's just, like, such a haunting thing for him to say.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to pause this and look up the exact quote because I think it's really haunting. Okay, we found it. Mickey found it, actually. Good job.
Aw, look at me.
So he, of course, was, threatening this victim or whatever, and he, covered her mouth and, bent down and whispered in her ear something about, if you don't shut up right now, I'll slit your throat, and then you'll be silent forever, and I'll be gone in the dark. Which is, it's so, when it happened in the book, I didn't know that the title came from, a direct quote from, a thing he had said. So, when it happened in the book, I literally got chills, and I was like, oh, my God. What a powerful sentence. Not to, again, hype up a serial killer, which is, there's a fine line there. But, that line menaced that woman for the rest of her life.
Yeah. Well, it's horrifying.
It has stayed with that. He has ruined the lives of so many people that have had to, piece it back together. And he's well known for, he has made calls back to victims over the years to, reignite the fear in them. And he says things like, remember when we played? And then he'll just hang up. It's really upsetting. I'm really glad that he's going to die in prison.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, he might get killed before. I wouldn't be
not
shocked
upsetting.
If some kind of vigilante justice or something. Yeah, I'm not mad at all. Kill the motherfucker.
Woo! Okay, so crime. Don't feel safe.
Oh, don't feel safe. You're not safe.
You're not.
That sweet old man making cinnamon buns. They're made out of human flesh, maybe.
It's tough being a fan of true crime because you really do think that way.
And I can't do it. I'm already too crazy for all that.
Yeah.
Girl, I don't trust
Makes you
nobody
less trusting.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a lot for me.
I feel upset. I'm traumatized.
But don't you worry, because I'll be gone in the dark here soon. It's literally dark and I have to go home, and I don't like to be alone.
But you're just going to be driving home. You'll turn on a podcast. It'll be fine.
It was a murder podcast.
No, don't listen to that. Listen to NPR.
Okay.
Oh, wait, that is a murder podcast.
Oh, the murder of our great nation.
Oh, my God. Do you have a good old plug this week, Morgie?
I wrote something down. What did I say? I had 2 plugs. So obviously,
wait. You trying to go above and beyond. You trying to get extra credit. Morgan, why you make me look stupid? I have 3 plugs. It's fine.
Okay, you think of 2 other plugs while I tell people about mine. So I obviously want to plug I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. What a great book. I think everybody should read it. And I think a great follow-up to I'll Be Gone in the Dark is the Paul Holes interview episode of My Favorite Murder. Paul Holes, which is a weird name to say, I feel like. Paul Holes on My Favorite Murder. A great follow-up to reading this book because it fills in the gaps of how Paul felt after Michelle died, and also the killer getting caught literally months after. So it's just it's great. Do it in that order.
Okay, so for my first plug, Google Paul Holes Hole. Because he is attractive. You're going to want to see that.
Hot.
Okay.
Oh, one of the My Favorite Murder girls started a hashtag hot for holes.
Hot for holes! Any holes are gold. That's not true. It's not true. No facts. My second plug is actually, I guess, my most real plug. Because I only came with one. I'm not an overachiever. It's Castle Rock on Hulu. Have you been watching the show?
No, and I want you to tell me everything because I love television.
Well, this isn't a completely outside the box plug for this episode because Castle Rock is is Stephen King the producer, or anyway, it's based on Stephen King's oeuvre. And it's essentially set in the world of Castle Rock, which comes up various times in Stephen King's world. So, for example, there is a side character who's the niece of Jack Torrance in The Shining, the dad in The Shining. And, she's just a character in the town, and, whatever. And there are all these other, callbacks to, Cujo and It and all these things. It's essentially the story of this boy found locked away somewhere horrible, Shawshank actually, in a hole in Shawshank, and he is believed to be the devil incarnate, but no one knows why. And when he's around, bad things seem to happen. But this town in general, this old Castle Rock town, has a lot of secrets. It starts off with a suicide and an unsolved murder, and it goes from there. It's a little bit fantasy, it's a lot horror, and it's a little bit murder mystery.
Oh my God, it's got it all.
It's beautifully acted too. Beautifully
Castle
acted.
Rock.
Castle Rock. It's on Hulu. It is it's a Hulu original or whatever.
Oh, is it?
It sure is. And Sissy Spacek is in it. Is that how you say her name?
Sissy Spacek?
Yeah, I said it a little weird. Of course, she was Carrie's mother, right? And she plays a mother in this show as well. She's Still phenomenal. Still stunning, also. And what else to say about it? I think they're on, like, episode 5 or 6, maybe, right now. But it is worth it. It's really good. Creepy. A bit slow, but creepy slow. Yeah.
I'm very into it. I'll be checking that out.
Mm-hmm. And my third plug is my personality, which is effervescent, opalescent, shining, gleaming, and perfect.
Well.
Yeah, eat it, bitch.
Okay. Gleaming review of yourself from yourself. All right. Well, we'll be sure to link to all of those plugs, except for that last one. It's too nebulous.
Yeah.
In the show notes. And you guys can check us out on social media. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook or Instagram under @BNBcast. You can also follow us on YouTube, where we have all the stuff.
Girl, we've got every single episode of the podcast.
Except for just that one.
There is that one that's on there. I don't know what happened to her. And we're also doing Let's Queer playthroughs of video games. We've got a lot of stuff on there right now. I kind of have abandoned my Witcher 3, though really Geralt committed suicide. And I tried to stop him. But I'm only a voice in his head,
It could not be helped.
I can't stop him.
It could not.
But I have started a new game, and I think y'all will enjoy that. And also, you should look us up in your nearest soup kitchen. Morgan's going to be wearing a hairnet serving soup, and I will be eating the soup because I am desperately poor.
Well, we all have a role to play in society.
Yeah. I love that soup. That's some chunky-ass potato hamburger soup.
Hamburger?
Yeah. And I love the way you look in a hairnet. Your wig looks choice.
I know he's joking, but I look just fine. But definitely be sure to follow us on all those things. You can follow me personally on Instagram at Organized Mess. So check us out and share our podcast with your people. And rate and review us.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference to us on iTunes.
And you can follow me at your nearest lampshade store. And I will be buying a lampshade made of human skin.
Watch your skin.
And I am, in fact, the natural state killer.
Oh, it has just as good a ring to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone thinks I don't drive, but really I do drive. I've been driving back to Arkansas and murdering people.
Whoa. Hot take.
Hot take. That fucked you up at night. Yes, queen.
Don't feel safe.
Don't feel safe?
That's the motto here.
No.
Love you, babies.
Bye, babies.
Bye-bye.
Really, Morgan's the serial killer, obviously.
Do you have a home? Beauty in the bed.
You
look.
in the bed.
Beauty in the bed.
Beauty in the bed.